What's up, everybody? How are you doing? It's me, Dustin Coyle. You're tuned into Intelligent Thoughts, the best show on the airwaves. This is the NBA Today for April Fools, April 1st, 2019. Before we get into the program here, I'd like you to go out and follow on social media. That'd be Intelligent Tho1, Intelligent THO and the number 1 on Twitter, Intelligent B Thoughts. Intelligent, the word B in the middle there, B-E, Thoughts on Instagram, on Facebook, just Intelligent Thoughts there. We got a page on all those. Love to hear from anybody, any fans, anybody who's enjoying the show, or anybody who hates the show. I don't really care either way. But go ahead and follow out there. We have a lot more interesting stuff going on in the social media than we probably even do for the podcast, so it's usually some good fun there. Go out and follow that. So we had a lot of games yesterday, or a few games yesterday. As the NBA season nears its end here, each team has about 5 or 6 games left. And today, we have a huge slate of games. Let me do some mathematics really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games today. So more than half the teams in the NBA are going to be active tonight. We're going to get into that in just a second, but let's listen to some music. Alrighty, the first game that we are going to be talking about here is in New Orleans, with the New Orleans Pelicans getting trounced by the Los Angeles Lakers. I think that's the first time that the Lakers have beaten the Pelicans this season. They had a couple of really tough ones in the past few games against them. They get this one easy, 130-102, after outscoring New Orleans by 22 points in the third quarter. And they are led by Alex Caruso, a career-high 23 points. He's not the leading scorer, but he's the marquee on this one. 23 points off the bench in 29 minutes for him. 4 for 4 from downtown. 6 assists. Big game there for Alex Caruso. I think he's a really underrated player. Can't play defense terribly well, but extremely athletic, surprisingly athletic, good shooter. I think that they should have had him up on the active roster for the majority of the season. This was just his 20th game of the year. They were led in scoring, however, by Rondo. 24-point, 12-assist performance. Rondo, 4 for 7 from downtown. So he's draining threes nowadays as well. And they always play a lot better when Rondo is playing well. And then JaVale McGee, 23 points and 16 boards in 33 minutes in the domination here for the Lakers. On the losing end of things, we see no Anthony Davis, lower back pain in this one. They're led by ex-Laker Julius Randle, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 for 4 from downtown, 5 for 8 overall, 17 points. Big game there for Randle. That's in just 23 minutes, though. And Jahlil Okafor, 7 for 8 overall, 15 points, 4 rebounds in the loss for him. Okay, to Atlanta. This was probably one of the best games of the night. The Atlanta Hawks, in overtime, defeat the Milwaukee Bucks 136-135 on a last-second, basically tip-in, essentially. It was a loose ball thrown to the rim. It got tipped back. Trae Young catches it with his left hand in the air, converts it to his right hand, and shoots a floater up for the victory. And that was all with like 1 second left, or like 1.1 second left. It was really ridiculous, especially for a guy that size to be able to pull off something like that. I think that was pretty improbable. Big shot for Trae Young. That's either his second or his third game-winning buzzer-beater shot, I think in the last month or month and a half or something like that. He's having a big year. As far as scoring, not his best game. 5 for 19 from the field, 2 for 9 from downtown, and just nets 12 points on that, including the last points of the game. So a real tough shooting game for him. But he does log 16 assists, 5 rebounds in that one. I mean, that's 16 assists. Big day for him. as far as that goes. And then how about some John Collins action? 23 points, 12 rebounds for him. He goes 3 for 5 from downtown. Big game for John Collins also in the win. And for Milwaukee, Giannis didn't play because of a sprained right ankle, slightly sprained right ankle. Chris Middleton had a sore left groin. Bledsoe didn't play. Tony Snell also sprained ankle. Malcolm Brogdon with the plantar fascia tear. Basically a real minimal team here for Milwaukee. The only starter that they had actually playing was Brook Lopez. But all 5 starters get into double digits here, led by Tony Frazier's 20 points, 15 assists, 7 rebound game for him out of the point guard position. That's a pretty damn big game, and they might need some help like that if Malcolm Brogdon doesn't come back healthy enough. I think that he's definitely going to miss the first round of the playoffs, maybe the second round of the playoffs. We're not exactly sure where he'll be at, but they might need some help from Frazier here as well, especially with Eric Bledsoe not playing sometimes too. He actually wasn't leading scorer, my bad. Sheldon Brown, 27 points, 9 rebounds, 5 3-pointers for him, 22 shots, however, and obviously not enough to get the victory here. In Oklahoma City, the Dallas Mavericks beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 106-103 without Luka Doncic. A tough loss here for Oklahoma City. I believe they're 7-13 since the All-Star break. One of the worst records in the league. I think it's the fifth or the 5th worst record in the league since that time. Obviously, that dropped them from 3rd place in the West all the way to 8th, where they currently sit right now. And this loss at home is another tough one. It's not looking good right now for the Oklahoma City Thunder. How about Trey Burke in 31 minutes off the bench? He gives 25 points, 8 rebounds, 4 for 8 from downtown. Devin Harris also 4 for 8 from downtown, 15 points in 17 minutes off the bench. And Jalen Brunson, 30 minutes in the starting lineup, he delivers 18 points as well in the victory. As far as the losing team here, Paul George, 27 points and 11 rebounds, makes 5 3-pointers, 5 of 12, but not enough to get the win. Really only 3 players played well for the Thunder. 25-point, 11 rebound, 11 assist performance there for Russell Westbrook, where he actually shot pretty well, 3 for 8 from downtown as well. And Steven Adams giving you 20 points and 15 rebounds in the middle. Just not enough. They were up in the game, allowed Dallas to come back at the end of the 3rd and the 4th quarter, and ended up losing it. And right now, with only 10 days left in the regular season, you have to think that might be a sign of what's to come for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right now, they would be slated for a first-round matchup with the Golden State Warriors, a team that they played pretty well against, but obviously not the team that anybody wants to play in the first round, or really any round for that matter. So unless they get a quick little turnaround here in the next week and a half, things are looking pretty grim for Oklahoma City right now. All right, to San Antonio. This was a big one, probably for Oklahoma City as well. The Sacramento Kings on the road beat the San Antonio Spurs 113-106 in this one. Buddy Hield scores 26 points in this one, 4 for 6 from downtown. 8 for 15 shooting. Good overall game for Buddy Hield. He leads the way for the Sacramento Kings. And how about some Willie Cauley-Stein? 17 points on 6 for 9 shooting. Big game for him as well. And then maybe some Bogey Bogdanovic. 15 points, makes a couple of threes, adds 5 assists as well. The game is pretty even as far as everybody. Barnes gives you 15. De'Aaron Fox gives you 12. Bielitsa gives you 10. Yogi Ferrell gives you 10. Bagley doesn't play in this one, but it obviously didn't really matter as far as the victory is concerned. It's kind of a meaningless victory for the Kings anyway, and then a pretty big loss for San Antonio. The Spurs are led in scoring by LaMarcus Aldridge. He had a pretty big game, 27 points, 18 rebounds, 12 for 24 shooting. Kind of a volume game for him, but it ended up being pretty well, especially when you consider the rebounds. And then 16 points, 7 assists for DeMar DeRozan on 8 for 16 shooting. A little bit underwhelming of a game there for DeMar, which has been kind of a theme for the way that his games have been going over the past month or two. Either way, though, If the Spurs are going to be successful in the playoffs, I would imagine DeMar DeRozan is going to have to be at least their second best player, possibly their best player, and he might have to shoot some threes. He didn't even take a three-pointer in this game. He was the only player that played. Never mind. Jakob Poeltl did not take one either. But he's going to need to stretch his range out a little bit in order to be successful in the playoffs. They're going to just bog down, especially when you have a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge as well. Two guys that play in the paint or towards the elbows. You can really bog down a defense unless you surround them with some really big shooters. So I don't really like where San Antonio's at right now. Going to need to see a lot more from DeMar, in my opinion. And LaMarcus probably just have to be pretty similar to what he's doing right now in order for them to get a win here in the playoffs. Alrighty, and to Denver, the Washington Wizards come back and defeat the Denver Nuggets 95-90. They allowed just 28 points in the second half, 10 points in the third to Denver, and 18 in the fourth. And the game was kind of marked by Jokic getting 2 technical fouls. He tied the game with a layup where he thought he got fouled, tied it up at 90 at the end of the game, immediately received 2 technical fouls, and got kicked out of the game. And obviously they didn't score another point after that. Washington hit the free throws and scored again. Washington with the comeback 95-90 victory. That's going to be a tough one for the Denver Nuggets. That's a tough loss there. Washington is led in scoring by Thomas Bryant out of the center position, 20 points and 14 rebounds for him in 40 minutes. Big, long game there for Thomas Bryant. And actually, I didn't even see that. Troy Brown Jr. is actually the leading scorer. He finishes with 24 points, 5 for 7 from downtown. Big night for him. And then how about Jabari Parker off the bench? 20 points, 6 rebounds in 31 minutes. For the Denver Nuggets, they're led in scoring by Nikola Jokic, 23 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists. His assist game seems to have dropped off a little bit since the previous maybe like first half of the season or first 2/3 of the season, so that's a little bit worrisome for me. Jamal Murray is taking control of the ball quite a bit more and facilitating quite a bit more. He has just 8 shots in this game and finishes with 12 points. But I'd like to see more out of Jokic as far as distributing the ball and helping his team get open shots there. 11 for 15 from the field for him specifically, so a really good shooting night for him. But all around, not the best for the Nuggets. Willie Barton, 10 points on 15 shots, 2 for 10 from downtown. Really tough one for him. And how about Paul Millsap? 13 points, 16 boards, but 3 of 13 from the field, 0 of 1 from downtown. That's a pretty tough one, and they end up getting a really costly loss that drops them to the number 2 seed. They were tied for number 1 going into that game, and now they're a full game behind the first seed Golden State Warriors. And speak of the devil, in Golden State, the Warriors with a huge victory, 137-90 over the Charlotte Hornets. They win by 47 points. At no point was it ever close. The closest quarter was the Warriors only winning the first quarter by 8 points. But this was overall a pretty rough one and a tough game there for Charlotte, who's trying their best to get into the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. And we'll actually probably take a look at that when we do the games that are upcoming here. For scoring, Curry's going to lead the way at 25 points and 5 3-pointers, 6 assists to go with that. Klay Thompson, 24 points and 6 3-pointers for him. How about an efficient game for Kevin Durant? 27 minutes, 5 for 5 from the field, 1 for 1 from downtown, 11 points, 9 assists. Great game there for Kevin Durant in a little bit of a minimal situation. And then Quinn Cook off the bench in 23 minutes. He drains 5 trays and finishes the game with 21 points in an easy victory here. For the Charlotte Hornets, they're led in scoring by Willie Hernan-Gomez off the bench, 22 points in 23 minutes. He played pretty good, 4 for 8 shooting overall, a lot of free throws for him. And then 2 other players in double figures, Jeremy Lamb off the bench with 11, and Frank Kaminsky off the bench with 10 points. Kemba Walker in the starting lineup, 25 minutes. He finishes with just 9 points on 4 for 14 shooting. Terrible game for Kemba. In a game they really, really needed. I think they were only going into that game about 2 games out of 6th, or maybe 2.5 games out of 6th place in the East. So there's a lot of upheaval that could still happen as far as the playoff picture is concerned in the Eastern Conference. Western Conference obviously as well, but everybody that's in is already in, so there's no chance that anybody's going to miss it. On the East, 2 teams that have a good shot here are going to miss it. 10 teams still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs. Alrighty, and then the final